उसके अंदर ये इलेक्टेड पोस्ट है, कोई भी खड़ा हो सकता है इसके अंदर। वन मैन वन पोस्ट का फॉर्मूला लागू नहीं होता है, परंतु कांग्रेस पे कोई बनता है तो वो दो पोस्ट पे काम नहीं कर सकता।
Apart from Gehlot, the other possible contenders are Shashi Tharoor and Manish Tiwari. Whoever it turns out to be, what's increasingly apparent is that a non-Gandhi will take over the party when the results are announced on the 19th of October. But will it work? After all, it's Rahul Gandhi who's leading Congress's Bharat Jodo Yatra, walking 3,570 kilometers over 12 states, in a yatra which is being seen as a curtain raiser for the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. So will the Gandhis actually give up control of the party? Or will a new non-Gandhi party chief be remote controlled?
All right, so will Rahul Gandhi stick to his word and not run to be the next Congress president? What does that mean for India's politics as we go into 2024? Is it going to be Ashok Gehlot versus Shashi Tharoor? And more importantly, will Mr. Gehlot be seen as the unofficial official candidate? And of course, Shashi Tharoor is the G23 candidate. Joining us on the talking point this evening, Shehzad Poonawalla here in our studios, BJP spokesperson, Charan Singh Sapra, Congress spokesperson, Rashid Kidwai, senior journalist who's been tracking the Congress for a number of years now. Professor Nalin Mehta is the author of the new book, The New BJP, and Sanjay Jha, formerly with the Congress and now a political analyst. Shehzad Poonawalla, I'll start with you first. Whether you like it or not, Mr. Rahul Gandhi today in the press conference says categorically in front of all people, it's been broadcast across the nation, he is not going to run. Will you take him at his face value? Because you guys have been going on and on about dynastic politics, dynastic politics, dynastic politics. He says he's not running.
I take him entirely on his face value because having power without responsibility is the first byword of the Gandhi family. What they did with Manmohan Singh is exactly what Rahul Gandhi is going to do with the next Congress president, and don't buy my word for it. Mr. Chidambaram has gone on to say, whoever will be the president, Rahul will have a preeminent, or maybe I read it as permanent place in the party. This is Mr. Chidambaram's statement. Then you have Mr. Muralidharan come out and say, who was a former president of the Kerala Congress, whoever contests the post of the party president, only a person with the support of the Nehru family would become the president. And how free and fair are these elections? Well, 5 MPs, including Mr. Tharoor, have demanded where's the electoral rolls. So, you know, the entire system has been rigged in such a manner that the only person that can win is actually a Darbari of the Congress first family.
Okay.
And he will be remote controlled by the Congress first family. And even the last election that these people claim was a free and fair one was the Jitendra Prasad election, 24 or even more than 24 in 2000. Actually, Mr. Jitendra Prasad, before he passed away, had given an interview in which he said that the match was fixed behind my back. This is what he said about that election. And for the last 24 years, they've had only one family. Whereas we compare with a party like BJP, we've had 9 presidents who've been elected.
So, Charan Singh Sapra, the contention by the BJP being that whether or not Mr. Gandhi decides to run, whether or not he decides to contest, fact is, if it's Mr. Gehlot will be nothing more than a Darbari controlled by the remote control, which still happens to be with the Gandhi family. Please respond.
See, Zaka, 2 things. Number 1, everybody should appreciate that Shri Rahul Gandhi, whatever he said in 2019, while taking the moral responsibility of the loss in the general elections, he resigned and he said that no person from the Gandhi family will become the president of Congress party. And he's adhering to what he had said at that time. And but today also, everybody has seen his press conference and you have also judged in the right way. And he has in fact, or Srimati Sonia Gandhi, in fact, they have said that next Congress president will be an elected and not a selected Congress president. Now, as far as BJP's spokesperson is concerned, I would like to tell him when he's talking about a rubber stamp or a Darbari, I feel whosoever becomes the Congress president, or elected Congress president, will be more effective and a good decision maker, better than JP Nadda. Now, he has to decide whether JP Nadda is a Darbari or is a rubber stamp of Narendra Modi or RSS or what it is. But definitely, Congress President Srimati Sonia Gandhi and Shri Rahul Gandhi is going to give a free hand to the new elected Congress President.
Sabra Sahab, I'll ask that to Shehzad before I go to the analyst. But I want a quick clarification from what you're saying. Let's say Mr. Gehlot runs and Mr. Gehlot wins, because everybody in the Congress knows he's the unofficial family ka candidate, even though the family is not endorsing anyone formally. The fact is, you ask any Congress person, if Mr. Gehlot runs, Mr. Gehlot is running on behalf of the family. So then how are you going to clear this misconception that the family is not going to remote control the party anymore?
See, this is your interpretation, Zaka. When a senior leader like Shri Ashok Gehlot, who has a vast experience, a matured leader who has been, a number of times he has been the chief minister, he has been the central minister, he has been the AICC general secretary, a person of that stature cannot be a rubber stamp. He has his own way of working, he has his own vision, he is going to implement his vision. That's why I said that he will not be JP Nadda. And what is JP and how many elections the BJP has done? If the BJP spokesperson is talking, let me remind him, or let him tell me what was the last date when BJP held an election for the president.
So let's ask him that. Let's ask him that. Shehzad is here in the studio. Shehzad, Mr. Nadda, your party president, there was no election to choose him. There was not a formal election that elected Mr. Nadda. If you're saying Ashok Gehlot will be the rubber stamp or the Darbari, Mr. Nadda, the Congress is saying, is also a rubber stamp in your party.
Well, you know, that is the biggest misconception. In fact, in the last 24 years, the BJP has elected 9 presidents at last count. They have elected one Ma Beta, selected or coronated rather. And let me tell you about Mr. Nadda's election. Under Article 19 of the Constitution of the Bharatiya Janata Party, first a national committee and a state committee is constituted, which comprises the electoral college for this election. And after that is done, and I'll also tell you this was sent to the Election Commission.
One second, sir.
We can have a civilized debate. Before Mr. Nadda's election, 75% of the booth committees, 50% of the mandal committees, 60% of the Zilla committees and 21 state committees were constituted as per elections. The entire record was sent to the Election Commission along with the schedule for the election. Yes, this was a unanimous election because
so I was going to ask, who stood against him?
No.
Nobody stood against him.
No, that does not mean that that's not an election.
Somebody has to stand against you. No, I mean, otherwise, how is it an election?
Zaka, an election is when you have the ability for anybody to come and contest freely and fairly.
Okay.
There are many presidents of our country who were elected unanimously because there was no contest.
Sure.
The lack of a contest doesn't mean it's not an election.
For example, what the Congress is saying is, if it is going to be Gehlot versus Tarur, at least there is an election. You didn't have an election.
Let me answer that part specifically. If there is going to be a contest, Gehlot and Tharoor have to first go and do Malkin se Manjuri, that Malkin, can I go and contest? Is this an election? Malkin being Sonia Gandhi and the Manjuri for the workers of the Congress. See, it's not a party. It's like a private limited company that the driver or the employee has to go and ask the owner that Sahab main kar loon. Secondly,
because you know it's a fair point you're making, because 2 days back Shashi Tharoor went and met Sonia Gandhi, and right after that there were stories after stories. Everybody carried it saying he went and sought permission. Of course, then after that the damage control happened. But if that's the case, again, I'm coming back to that point. Whoever wins, how will he or she, dispel this misconception, according to you, that they are a Darbari / remote controlled candidate? Mr.
Zaka, if the BJP earlier presidents, they were selected unanimously as the BJP spokesperson is talking, then even Srimati Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, they were also elected unanimously. In 2018, Rahul Gandhi was elected unanimously. So when they are getting elected unanimously, why they are pointing out to Congress party as a parivarik party or the party of dynasty? Number one. Number two, what you said about meeting Srimati Sonia Gandhi. See, it is the Indian tradition. Whenever in Indian tradition a person has to do go for a big contest or a big job, he takes blessings from the senior. Let me give you example of Indian wrestlers also. We have seen number of time that wrestler before going into the bout, वो अपने गुरु का पांव छूते हैं और अपने गुरु का ही पांव नहीं छूते, वो अपने ओपोनेंट के गुरु का भी पांव छू लेते हैं.
ठीक है, वो श्रद्धा के लिए गए थे, आशीर्वाद लेने के लिए गए थे, not permission. Okay, let me go to the analysts, please. They've all been waiting. Nalin has been waiting, Rashid has been waiting, Sanjay has been waiting as well. Nalin, I'll start with you first. Look, when the Prime Minister spoke on Independence Day, he said 2 things. We have to wage a war on 2 things between now and 2024, one of which was dynastic politics. Now, assuming Mr. Gandhi is true to his word, what he said today publicly in the press conference, he's not going to stand for the election, and whoever the next Congress president is, can the Congress legitimately turn around and say that, look, where is the question of dynastic politics? A non-Gandhi is Congress president, Mr. Rahul Gandhi is merely a member of parliament from Wayanad. So the BJP loses its principal plank of attack against the Congress of dynastic politics. Or does it, according to you?
So in my view, Zaka, what is happening now is a good forward move because the Congress has not had elections for a very long time. However, whoever is elected the president, if it's a non-Gandhi and we've got various names on the table, this will really only matter as far as politics is concerned if the Gandhis actually give up control of the Congress and do not do backseat driving. If the new president is actually the full survey serva of the new Congress. Otherwise, the charge of dynastic politics will remain. Because otherwise, what it means is power without responsibility. And I think that is the real challenge. So, the fact of the matter is Rahul Gandhi remains the face of the Congress. How much of his people will still control appointments, how much of his role he'll still have in ticket selection, how much he's still setting the discourse, all of that, if that doesn't change, then this election has the risk of becoming a Potemkin kind of election. I think that is a risk for the Congress in this.
No, so let me ask you a follow-up before I go to Sanjay and to Rashid. So if the primary complaint against Rahul Gandhi is he's inaccessible, he's controlled by a coterie, if either of these two win, Ashok Gehlot wins or Shashi Tharoor wins, surely that coterie is not going to decide. That coterie is going to lose its importance, its value. Nalin.
So that is something we have to wait and see, Zaka, because surely that is something we have to wait and see how that unfolds. But the fact of the matter is, the real question is, will the Gandhi family continue to be the power behind the throne even if somebody else is sitting on the throne or not? Or is it going to be like when it was Sitaram Kesri was president, where it didn't really matter and there were different power centers, or is it going to continue like this? At the moment, the jury is out on that.
You'll famously remember Sitaram Kesri, though he was appointed by Narasimha Rao, eventually they went on to become not so the best of friends. But let me ask Sanjay Jha, as somebody who is with the Congress party, and you've openly come out and endorsed Shashi Tharoor's candidature, and I want to ask you, what is the serious chance of Mr. Tharoor A, contesting, and B, more importantly, winning if, let's say, Ashok Gehlot is the candidate opposite him? And I'll ask you this specifically because, of course, Mr. Tharoor is articulate, he is suave, he's ambitious, he's also, someone who would send a signal to congressmen and women that if he can become Congress president, then so can anyone. As Shehzad and the BJP spokespersons always remind you, there have been 9 or 10 BJP presidents in the last 10 to 15 years. Mr. Tharoor, if he were elected your president or your party's president, could then set that example that, look, I had no big backers. I was in fact opposed to the establishment. I am the anti-establishment candidate and I won. But the question is, can he in the current setup, if Mr. Gehlot were to run against him?
Zaka, a very pertinent question, and I would like to answer that. Before that, one point that I do need to make, that the biggest remote control in the country is actually run out of Nagpur, and that is run by the RSS. And that's the family that actually controls Indian politics. So let's not even spend time on the hyperbole of the BJP spokesperson on your show. But let's answer your question. I do believe that, what Nalin says has a grain of truth. But, we are being politically naive in assuming that just because the Gandhis won't be formally holding a position, they need to become politically irrelevant. I don't think so. I think that's a rather bizarre assessment. Today, if you ask any congressman, and Charanjit is here on your show, today, if an election is held and assuming Rahul Gandhi were to say, I want to contest it, he will actually get the votes of 90% of the delegates.
No, we know that. We also know he's not running. Now tell me who's winning.
Yeah, so that's my first point is, therefore, the acquisition of remote control would happen, whether even Mr. Gehlot wills, that will happen. Even if Shashi wins, by the way, people will say, you know what, he's meeting with Sonia Gandhi, there must be an element of dynamism to that meeting. If today, for example, Manish Tiwari wins, they will say, well, even he's a planted puppet through some mysterious conspiracy.
No, but Sanjay, so did Shashi Tharoor go to seek blessings or permission or what? Because all kinds of stories are doing the rounds.
I'll answer that because I know Shashi very well. I can tell you very frankly why this is a terrible rumor going around, but I need to clarify on your show, which is very popular, Zaka, that Shashi went there because he's been very publicly articulating the fact that he's not convinced about the electoral college and certain opacity or transparency that is needed. And I think Mrs. Gandhi basically wanted to reassure him that if he was in the game, all these allegations were meaningless and he should desist from making them because they will unnecessarily erode the credibility of the whole election process. So I don't think there was any yes, and all the fake news being spread by the BJP is because
Okay.
they are palpably nervous because a resurrected Congress can actually be a big threat to the BJP.
You know, the funny part is, well, you're well within your right to say that the BJP actually spread these stories about seeking permission, but I think I know at least one or two people who are necessarily not from the BJP stable who were sending these stories out. But anyway, leave that aside. I want to ask Rashid Kidwai, because the critical and most fundamental question is this. Up until now, we were led to believe, and he said it in as many words, that Mr. Gehlot, while he may be inclined to contest to be the next CP, fact is he doesn't want to give up Chief Ministership of Rajasthan. Till yesterday, that was his position. Then he met Sonia Gandhi yesterday, today he met Rahul Gandhi, and after which his position suddenly has been, even though there is no one-man, one-post rule in the Congress, fact is that the president of the Congress party is a big responsibility. You're in charge of all the state units across the country. Therefore, one has to do justice to that job. You can't have two jobs while you're Congress president. So are we to believe that Mr. Gehlot is finally being softened up, that if he were to run, he may likely win, and if he were to win, he will give up the chief minister's post?
Yes, Zaka, indeed. Why do you think Mr. Ashok Gehlot's name came up? Because the Congress party, in its wisdom, wants to settle the kind of never-ending fight that was going on in Rajasthan between Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot. So the move to kind of elevate Mr. Gehlot has a bearing on the internal politics of Rajasthan, where it's in all likelihood Mr. Sachin Pilot would become chief minister. This was all along Mr. Gehlot's posture that he would say that he wants to continue on both posts, and one man one post norm doesn't apply to the Congress president, etc.
Yeah.
Because he would want an assurance not only for himself to have a smooth sailing in the internal election, where, by the way, many of the panelists are saying, but Zaka, the loyalty to the party and to some extent to the leadership is a prerequisite. You cannot have an absence of it. You see, if Rahul Gandhi contests, he is opposed on grounds of perpetuating dynasty. If he doesn't contest, he is accused of doing the backseat driving. Tell me, is there a third scenario? Is it feasible? Is it logical?
No. The point, Rashid, is that if Mr. Gehlot were to run, whether you like it or not, and Charan Sapra will deny this, but fact is that most congressmen and women will see him as the establishment candidate, and they will see Shashi Tharoor as the anti-establishment candidate. That's just the way it is.
No, that's how. But I'm saying in any political party, in any religious group, in any such thing, when there is a kind of a loyalty quotient has to be high,
Of
then
course.
people will be judged by that yardstick.
Sure.
If there is a pro-change wind in the Congress, they would perhaps go for Shashi Tharoor, regardless of what Gandhi's want or do not want. The Congress history is full of such instances.
Okay.
Well, Tandon won in spite of Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose in spite of Mahatma Gandhi. So I'm saying,
No, that is a different era. Tell me, post Mrs. Gandhi, have there been Congress presidents who have held the post for a reasonable period of time without the blessings of the family? Post 1970s, let's say.
Allow me 1 minute.
Yeah.
I have seen in Calcutta in 1997, the entire Congress Working Committee election took place, and many won. Whom Mr. Sitaram Kesri was a Congress president who wanted him to get defeated. Same thing happened in Tirupati when P.V. Narasimha Rao was Congress president. There was no Gandhi family around. And Narasimha Rao wanted many of these things, including Arjun Singh, to be defeated. He went on to, poll second largest number of votes. So
Okay.
this happened.
Okay. All right. Shehzad wants to respond. Yeah, Shehzad.
Zaka, there are a couple of things that we need to understand. Firstly, let me give you an example right from this debate, and I hope I'm not interrupted. Somebody said that Mr. Tharoor had to seek the clarification of Sonia Gandhi, but she is not the CEC of the party. She is 10 Janpath. What role does she have to clarify or to assure anybody in this electoral fray? It should have been first Madhusudan Mistry. Otherwise, there is no faith in this institution of CEC within the Congress. Secondly, Rahul Gandhi is just a MP, ordinary MP from Wayanad. Why is the entire party not behind the LOP in the Bharat Jodo Yatra? Why is it not behind the General Secretary? I can understand the President of the Congress is not doing well health-wise. Why not the other leaders of the Congress? Who is he?
Okay.
Thirdly, Priyanka Vadra. How did she become General Secretary? And after she takes the party from 7% to 2%, loses Amethi, because of which this man has to go to Wayanad, she's still the General Secretary and all others have to resign. What is this privilege? And lastly, my dear friend Rashid, who's written a wonderful book on the Congress, cited all examples, like BC and AD. He has cited all examples pre-Sonia. Where is post-Sonia examples, bhai? Which CWC? Article 19 of Congress. Charanjit might not even know this. 12 members of the CWC have to be elected. Please tell me which are the 12 members of CWC.
Okay, Charan Sapra, I think the second question that he asked, why is, if Rahul Gandhi is just a member of parliament and he's not, interested in running to be the president of your party next, then why is the entire Congress party down in Kerala and Tamil Nadu, in Bharat Jodo with him?
That why all the BJP leaders, they first go to Nagpur and meet Mohan Bhagwat and other RSS functionaries. Number two, I would like to answer your question. Shri Rahul Gandhi is the ideological mascot and he is the most respected leader. He is a guiding force. Now, if the guiding force and if he has taken the lead of Bharat Jodo Yatra, which is largely against the Bharatiya Janata Party's misrule, the way they are ruling the country, the way the divisive forces are ruling or the communal agenda is being run, the amount of fear is there in the country. When Shri Rahul Gandhi is fighting a battle head-on with Narendra Modi and Bharatiya Janata Party, it is obvious that the entire party is going to support him.
But Sapra Saab, can I ask one question?
And why BJP should
give me 10
decide
seconds.
what we have to do?
No, fair enough. BJP should not be worried about what you're doing. But can I ask you, Rahul Gandhi holding the Bharat Jodo in the middle of the election process to elect your next Congress president, does that not take away from whoever the next president is going to be, he or she? I mean, he's literally stealing the next person's thunder. No?
No, see, Zaka, that doesn't mean that if there is Congress election, that Rahul Gandhi or Congress party should stop all other activities and only run after the elections. That's not the issue. We have to do our work. We have to stop these communal forces, and that's why Rahul Gandhi is there on the road. He's walking for 150
I promise not more than
10 seconds,
Bharatiya
Shehzad,
Janata Party
and
is
then
stunned that a leader, Shri Rahul Gandhi, is going to disturb the entire apple cart of BJP.
Okay, got it.
10 seconds. Notwithstanding your Freudian slip, but let me come to the fact that he said that
genuine, it's not a Freudian.
That's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing. It was genuine.
Sometimes
you genuinely
anchors do
it
make mistakes.
Zaka, you genuinely called it a selection, but let that be.
I didn't. It was a slip of the tongue. Anyway,
Freudian.
Go on.
Sigmund Freud has explained why it happens. But anyways, let's not get into that. Let me just have 10 seconds. He said that this was a yatra to show the BJP their place, right? Rahul Gandhi, as per statistics, is the worst person to do that. 186 direct contests in 2019 BJP Congress, 171 by the BJP, 16 won by the Congress. In 2014, 185 direct contests, 166 won by the BJP, 39 out of 49 Rahul Gandhi election lost, 2 Lok Sabha lost. So you should find somebody worth the talent and merit. But you put Parivar above performance. You could have found anybody else to take on the BJP if that was your intention.
Okay, no. So let me go to Nalin one second.
Nalin, don't please discuss.
So okay, let me go to Nalin. Nalin, so one thing we can be assured of is if Mr. Gandhi does not decide to contest and he says I don't want to be Congress president, come 2024, the framing of the contest, Modi versus who? It could be a Modi versus Mamta, it could be a Modi versus Nitish, who knows, but it will certainly not be a Modi versus Rahul. And that works to the advantage of the opposition. Whether or not that'll be good enough to defeat Mr. Modi or to defeat the BJP, that's a separate matter altogether. But at least in the framing of the 2024 election, it will be an opposition leader with perhaps some more stature, some more credibility and maybe some more experience than Rahul Gandhi to take on Mr. Modi as the challenger, as it were.
So, I have 2 responses to that, Zaka. The first is that Mr. Gandhi has not been Congress president for a while now. We are now going through the formalization of that with this election. But I don't think he's given up power in the Congress party in the time that he's not, since the time he stepped down formally as a president. So whether he will do so thereafter, it's an open question. And let's leave that to see what happens. In the next election, I don't think Rahul Gandhi will not be a factor. I think he'll remain an important factor from the Congress. Who the face is from the other non-opposition, from the non-BJP parties, from the putative UPA or the non-NDA, I mean, until you have a very strong, if it's a presidential style contest, of course the BJP has an advantage in that purely in narrative terms. Now you can always say that, look, a state contest may well be an addition of many state contests, but I think as long as Rahul Gandhi remains as a major power player within Congress, I think it's going to be difficult. And
no, can I ask? Sorry, 10 seconds.
Whether it's Gehlot or Shashi Tharoor, are very different things. Tharoor may make a lot of difference.
10 seconds. The reason I asked you about that is because 2019 was clearly framed as a Modi versus Rahul election. 2024, and especially if Rahul Gandhi is not Congress president, will not be a Modi versus Rahul election.
Yeah, but then the question, but there is still a question mark on Modi versus who then, and I think it's an open question on whether Rahul Gandhi versus Modi is a better framing for BJP or Modi versus a question mark is a better framing. I'm not sure that that's a very good framing for the opposition, because you do need to have some face.
No, so I'll come back to Sanjay Jha. The question that Shehzad also asked: if Shashi Tharoor wanted to indeed get some clarity on these electoral rolls, surely it's not Sonia Gandhi's door he should have knocked at. He should have knocked at Madhusudan Mistri's door. Basically, he's asking questions of the authenticity of your process, the credibility of the electoral process itself.
Well, Zaka, I don't need to respond to every outlandish technical issue being raised by the BJP to try and malign what I believe is a step forward in the right direction. But what surprises me is actually, because I normally agree with Nalin on many points, is the fact that I think Nalin seems to be having a very myopic assessment of Rahul Gandhi's role. Now, he's a former Congress president. He still has a long political career ahead of him. If anyone believes, and this will be factually rather preposterous to assume that if he's not the Congress president, he needs to be in hibernation. Not at all. In fact, it's the other way around. I believe in Rahul Gandhi not being the Congress president, something that I, on public platforms, have said is the way forward for the Congress. And if Rahul Gandhi is not the Congress president, it actually unleashes the talent that the Congress party has. Rahul can be
Sanjay, I'll tell you what. Yeah. I'm sorry I'm interrupting. I think the problem is the comparison that happens with the most proximate example that one can think of. When Sonia Gandhi decided that she does not want to be Prime Minister post the 2004 election victory, everybody hailed it at that time. And Manmohan Singh got nominated as Prime Minister. But eventually, through UPA 1 and 2, I mean, it was prevailing wisdom that she is the power behind the throne. So if Rahul Gandhi gives up on running for Congress president, all great. I mean, nothing against him. But how does he then break the perception that whether a Gehlot or a Tharoor or whoever it is becomes your next party president, Rahul Gandhi will not be controlling things from remote or by remote, like his mother did with Manmohan Singh in UPA 1 and UPA 2.
Well, give me 30 seconds of uninterrupted time and I'll answer that. I believe by actually not standing for the position here, Rahul enhances his political credibility. He said in 2019, I will not contest, neither will some member from my family. Yeah. And in actually adhering to that public proclamation, he gets huge points for it, which in politics not many people do. Number two, very critical here, I understand why the BJP is sounding very edgy today. I'll tell you why. Because the Congress, despite losing many people, has, in my opinion, veritable talent. A Sachin Pilot who does well in the Rajasthan elections could be a potential candidate for Prime Minister in 2024. You could have many other alternatives. Mr. Gehlot, by the way, is a seasoned veteran. And you asked me earlier, can Shashi give him a fight? Let me tell you, Shashi should not be seen as a mere English-speaking, intellectual, articulate author. He's very popular with not just the people in south part of India. He's popular with the urban, with the middle class. And even whether he were to win or even not win, he puts forward an idea of the Congress before the people of the country. Okay. And I think that is the narrative that the Congress
I think the criticism against Shashi Tharoor, and I guess, at some level it is...
One last point.
Yeah, okay.
One last
quickly,
point
I'm running out of time also, yeah.
Yeah, please remember, Nalin, that Rahul is drawing crowds in a great number of ways, a spontaneous support in Bharat Jodo Yatra. The Congress, if it lets its talent out on the roads, I think the BJP will get a run
No,
for
but
the
surely,
money.
Sanjay, in your previous avatar, previous avatar as a psephologist, you will know that drawing crowds is absolutely, it has nothing to do with turning them into votes. Nalin knows that better as well. But anyway, 10 seconds each, and then I'll have to wrap up. Yeah. Shehzad.
Sometimes when I listen to people, I wonder whether suspended is for their status or for their logic. It's technical. Free and fair
Stop
elections
making
is a technical.
stupid
I did not
personal
name
remarks,
anybody. Now, if somebody's felt hurt with that comment, I think everybody understands whom it applies to, and I'm glad that they do. So let me ask you: that is a free and fair election a technical aspect? And by the way, which election did Sonia Gandhi win against Sitaram Kesi? She kicked the man out. Please read Rashid's book, you'll get to know what they've done to Narasimha Rao. This family can't stand talent outside, they have no talent within the family, and anybody who has an inch of talent outside the family, they can't stand them. So please, you can be an optimist on Prozac, but that doesn't help.
Okay,
You can only be suspended in logic.
Quickly, 30 seconds, Nalin, and 30 seconds, Rashid. I got to wrap up after that. Yeah, Nalin.
This guy is sweating.
So I just wanted to have a quick response to Sanjay. Sanjay, thanks for your comments. I agree with you, by the way, on your point on Shashi Tharoor completely. I think you misunderstood my point a little bit. The point I was trying to make was not that Rahul should be in hibernation and not be a public figure. The point I was trying to make was that was not about his public persona, but about who is the real boss of the Congress party, whether you have the title or not. Who controls pelf and power? Who controls? This is not that. The question is, will the new Congress president, whoever it is, will only be the person who does the hygiene stuff, keeps the buses running on time and all that kind of stuff, or actually controls power, and Rahul Gandhi and his team don't?
Rashid,
and that is what I was trying to say.
Rashid, 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think.
I need 10 seconds.
Okay, yeah. For Rashid first, yeah.
But you see, the key point. Of course, Sonia Gandhi may have been instrumental in kicking out Sitaram Kesari, but Zaka, all Congress people, including Pranab Mukherjee, Arjun Singh, Madhav Rao Scindia, Jitendra Prasad, except for Tariq Anwar, all of them were party too. They were all conspirators who threw out Kesari. So we must remember this.
Okay.
Second, we can go on talking about, ultimately the task for Congress is very simple for 2024. It has to come very close to 100 Lok Sabha seats. Whether it does it or not, that is the thing which only 2024 will tell.
No, say that again. You're saying the Congress's target just needs to be 100. Why? I mean, I thought it should be 272.
No, ideally, look, the Zaka, you're going from 44 to 52. I mean, I think 100 at very tall order.
Okay. Modest expectations. Right, fine. Okay, Charan Singh Sabra, yeah.
It's not happening in Sanjay's lifetime. I can assure you of that.
Final word, yeah. 30 seconds, I got to wrap up. Completely out of time. Huh? Yeah, I'm listening.
In my entire political career of 35 years, I haven't seen any election for BJP's top post, except for Yashwant Sinha once asking for for the nomination papers.
I invite you to the BJP headquarters tomorrow morning. I'll give you all the details.
And secondly, it is going to be a fair election. 9,000 PCC members, the PCC delegates, are going to vote in this election, and it is going to be absolutely fair.
Is it in the public domain, this vote?
Elected president, and BJP has to keep its mouth shut.
Okay, all right. I got to leave it at that. No, I'll leave it at that. All I'll say is this: that if indeed there is an election, and you can always doubt the authenticity of it, the credibility of it. If there is an election, and if Mr. Gandhi or any Gandhi surnamed congressman or woman is not running to be the next Congress president, I guess it moves the needle one step forward in the Congress's own story. Whether or not that's good enough for 2024, whether or not that will be a match for the BJP and Mr. Modi and this election-winning juggernaut, that is a separate matter altogether. But certainly for the Congress's own cohesiveness of its story, I think a free and fair election, and an election in which a non-Gandhi becomes the Congress president, I think is absolutely essential. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, as we take the break, do not forget to vote for your favorite artist, the one you feel deserves to be the Indian of the Year in the entertainment category. Just go to indianoftheyear.com and vote. I'll see you on the other side. there has been a big counter-offensive by the Ukrainian forces, particularly in Kharkiv, the second biggest city. The Kremlin claims at least 5,900 Russian troops have been killed in the war over the last 7 months, although the unofficial estimates are much higher. Ukraine claims that up to 50,000 Russian troops are dead so far. 1,000 elite officers, pilots, as well as intelligence experts have been killed over the last 7 months. And just hours after the war mobilization announcement by Vladimir Putin, protests have broken out in different parts of Russia. There are also reports of young people trying to flee the country. This comes amidst rumors that men of combat age will not be permitted to leave the country. Flights from Russia to neighboring countries are fully booked. That's not all. Vladimir Putin is also threatening the West in that same speech that he made to the nation earlier today. He's threatening the West with a nuclear strike.
Putin wasn't bluffing in stating that Russia will use all available means to protect its territory, essentially meaning that nuclear weapons are not off the table. Russia's military doctrine allows the use of tactical nuclear weapons if the Russian state is threatened. So essentially, Putin is betting that by increasing the risk of a direct confrontation between NATO and Russia, the West may blink over its support for Ukraine. Russia has already used long-range hypersonic missiles in Ukraine, which can fly faster than 6,000 kilometers per hour. But most are viewing Putin's nuclear threat as a sign of panic because the war is not going his way.
Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden addressed the United Nations General Assembly, slamming Putin's mobilization move.
Russia's calling up more soldiers to join the fight. And the Kremlin is organizing a sham referendum to try to annex parts of Ukraine, an extremely significant violation of the UN Charter. This world should see these outrageous acts for what they are. Putin claims he had to act because Russia was threatened. But no one threatened Russia. And no one other than Russia sought conflict.
Meanwhile, in Uttar Pradesh's Shahjahanpur, one biker had an unfortunate experience with a buffalo.
A woman was walking the buffalo on a narrow road when a biker crossed them. The sound of the bike scared the buffalo, and suddenly the animal lunged at the man, knocking him off his bike. The man fell on the side of the road while his bike was flung several meters ahead. As the man lay injured on the road, the woman came to check on him. Within a few minutes, some bystanders also ran to the man's rescue. The biker was rushed to the hospital and treated for his injuries.
The Kerala leg of Congress's Bharat Jodo Yatra involved a major gaffe. A poster of the Yatra had a photo of V.D. Savarkar in a lineup with other freedom fighters. Now, even though the party has never considered Savarkar to be a freedom fighter, party workers then ended up covering Savarkar's picture with one of Mahatma Gandhi. After hinting that he could enter the Congress president's election fray, Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot today met with Sonia Gandhi. He's also expected to be in Kerala tomorrow to make a last-ditch effort to try and convince Rahul Gandhi to take over the reins of the party. A day before, Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann was to convene a special session of the Assembly for a confidence vote. Punjab Governor Banwari Lal Purohit has withdrawn his order summoning the Assembly, citing legal reasons. Reacting to the move, Mann has said it proves the sinister design of BJP's Operation Lotus. A hair-racing accident in Assam's Kachar district has been caught on camera.
People were sitting around a field when suddenly a speeding van barreled into a group of men. While some men quickly moved away, 2 to 3 of them were knocked down. The van then turned turtle and crashed into the field. Stunned onlookers started screaming in horror. A few people then ran towards the van to rescue those trapped inside. They pushed the van to an upright position and then they managed to drag the driver of the van out.
After the Navy, now the Indian Army is getting ready to shed its colonial baggage. The uniforms and accoutrements like lanyard, which is the shoulder cord, as well as names of infantry regiments like Sikh, Gorkha, Jat, Rajput, all of this will be re-looked at. Ceremonies like beating the retreat, names of roads and institutes and parks, which are named after British commanders, will be taken a hard look at. Battle honours awarded to British to reign in Indian states, as well as, of course, the decision to move the Army Day Parade outside of Delhi. Tata Group Chairman Emeritus Ratan Tata has been appointed as one of the 3 new trustees of the PM Cares Fund. The decision was taken after Prime Minister Modi chaired a meeting of the PM Cares Board of Trustees, consisting of the Union Home Minister and the Union Finance Minister. Comedian and actor turned politician Raju Srivastav passed away. Welcome back to Brass Tacks. There's been a massive crackdown on the Popular Front of India. Across more than a dozen states, there have been raids in which over 100 PFI activists, including its chairman, national president, national secretary, all have been arrested. In fact, 18 of them were produced in a court in Delhi, which has remanded them to 4 days NIA custody for an organization that's allegedly been involved in nefarious activities. And this is what the NIA has told the court today, in activities including terror funding, terror training camps, and radicalizing people. This is the biggest ever crackdown seen in the last 20 years. Is this the central government and the agencies laying the groundwork now for an all-India ban on the PFI?
A midnight raid turned into the biggest crackdown on Popular Front of India. A multi-agency operation was led by the National Investigation Agency. The raids were carried out in 15 states. Nearly 100 locations were searched by the agencies. And over 100 top PFI leaders and functionaries have been arrested.
You can see these officers over here. You can see that those materials, those are the materials which have been seized. The other teams over here, there are many electronic gadgets, printers, laptops, which have been seized from these premises.
The raids were conducted on suspicions of PFI's involvement in organizing terror camps and encouraging youth to participate in terror activities.
This is Chandrayan Gutta, and this is where the PFI's main office is located, sealed and locked. And along with it, there's a notice here which has been pasted. PFI activist by the name Abdul Qadir was picked up by the National Investigation Agency for giving terror training to more than 200 people.
But in some states, PFI members held protest against the arrest.
Slogans that have been raised from the PFI supporters here, they are raising continuously slogans saying there's nothing, no documents that these officials would have found. This is an unnecessarily raid that has been conducted.
From an alleged role in violence in Uttar Pradesh during the anti-CAA protests in 2020 to the alleged links to terrorism, PFI has been under the government scanner for a while now. In fact, the NIA has termed the outfit as a threat to the national security. But after today's crackdown, will the clamour to ban PFI only grow louder?
All right, I want to go across to our guest. Binay Kumar Singh is an author who's written extensively about the PFI. Karnal Singh is a former director of the Enforcement Directorate. Shatabi Shivarna is an advocate, and Atikur Rahman, Islamic scholar, joining us. Binay Singh, let me start with you first. This is what the NIA told the court today in Delhi when as many as 18 of the 100 people who were detained today were brought to the court. And this is what the NIA said, that the searches are part of a crackdown against these allegations that the PFI functionaries are facing. Number 1, terror funding. Number 2, organizing terror training camps. And number 3, radicalizing people to join proscribed organizations. This is the justification given by the NIA. Does this add up? As somebody who has tracked the PFI, are its members, including the ones arrested today, are they involved in these three accusations that they face?
Jaka, this is a very timely action. And for that, we must thank our Home Minister that we have proved that there is a zero tolerance policy against terror outfits. And look, Jaka, the important point is that there are two visions of India completing 100 years in 2047. One idea is of the government of India. We want to remove the badge of a developing nation and we want to move into the next league. And the other idea of India 2047 is of PFI. They want to disintegrate, they want to break India and want to convert India into a caliphate state. And look, what we say that PFI is connected to Simi, it is a false statement. PFI is Simi. It is a transformation of, with a new name. It is the same wine into a new bottle with a new brand name. And let me give you an example. The tribunal which banned PFI, they have certain observations. That was based on certain observations by government of India.
Okay.
So the observations were that many observations, I'm just quoting two, that instigating Muslims on Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid verdict delivered by the Lucknow bench. And that is exactly what the PFI do. What has been mentioned in the banning document of Simi. You go to their website, they are instigating Muslim youths, they are instigating the Muslim mobs on the Ram Janmabhoomi verdict. And the second is,
so let me ask Atikur Rahman Saab that if here is an organization that is accused of instigating young Muslims, whether it's after the constitutional bench verdict on the Ram Janmabhoomi matter, whether it is one second, I'll come back to you. Whether it's on the Ram Janmabhoomi matter, whether it's on CAA, the Uttar Pradesh police has filed more than 200 cases against members of the PFI for protests that they had instigated in protest against the Citizenship Amendment Act. This is just one state that I'm talking about. As a moderate Indian Muslim, why shouldn't you welcome, sir, the action against this radical organization?
Zakka, I believe the most easiest thing in this world is blaming people, accusing people without any proof, without any, iota of evidence, which the courts will be demanding. Mr. Vinay Singh has just said about something about the Vision 2047 document of the PFI, wherein the seize was there by some policing in some states, and they captured some documents, and the PFI gave a clarification that 2047 document of theirs is very much evident on their website. Which document will you believe in? The security forces?
No, leave the document aside. Are you, Atikur Rahman Saab, are you saying that this organization, various members of this organization, in the state of Kerala alone, they have 27 cases against different PFI functionaries? In the state of Karnataka, there are 33. Why should average Indian moderate Muslim bat for such an extremist organization? It's a simple question.
The least I would say is the Constitution of India gives ample powers to the citizens of the state against the state. The state is not empowered to vilify the citizens. The least I would say, Zakka, because herein the state is having accusations without evidence.
Oh, no. Whether that evidence holds up or not is for a court to decide. But let me ask Karnal Singh, please respond. One of the arguments that's being put forth by people like Atikur Rahman is, A, on what basis have you made these arrests? Why this almost stealth by night kind of operation? And B, most importantly, do you have anything at all against this organization and against the members of this organization?
Number one, I do not consider it to be related to a religion. It is basically internal security issue. There are evidences against this particular organization, that is PFI, of indulging into radicalization, terror financing, and let me give you an example. The Indian Mujahideen started with the radicalization of some of the youth.
Yeah.
And then it was taken advantage of by terrorist organization like Lashkar-e-Toiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, etc. And that led to a large number of explosions in the country. So we are concerned about the internal security of the country. Radicalization can be misused, can be taken advantage by the enemies, by the foreign terrorist organizations. So we should look at it only at the national security issue rather than the communal issue. It is not communal issue.
Okay.
And it is very serious. And this organization has spread into 24 states in the country. And therefore, a nationwide strike by the investigating agencies was required to, at the same time, find out what are the evidences against them, though they have already collected a large number of evidences, which they would be producing in the court. When taking them on remand, those evidences are discussed before the court. It is not that the court is just on the basis of that the NIA or ED says that the remand should be given, court will give remand. Court asks questions. Court asks what are the evidences
Let me ask
available.
Shatabi Shivanna, you know, yes, of course, as Colonel Singh says, the evidence has to be presented in court. A court has to come to a conclusion on whether that evidence holds up. And on the basis of that, there will be conviction or otherwise. But let me take you back to as far back as 2012 about the antecedents of this group, the PFI. In an affidavit submitted by the Kerala government, and mind you, this was not a BJP government or even a left government at that time, this is 2012, a Congress government had said that the PFI is accused repeatedly in multiple cases of murder, rioting, intimidation, and having links with terrorist organizations. This was 10 years ago. Why should such an organization be continued to give such a long rope?
One thing is about the legal framework. Now there's an organization and there are certain members or office bearers of this organization who may be or may not be indulging in questionable activities or making questionable remarks. If there is an allegation that the members of a certain community or a certain organization are making questionable remarks or carrying out questionable actions, then definitely the law enforcement agencies should take action against them. But can you completely rule out or ban the organization is something that we need to ponder upon in the legal frameworks. I don't think that is possible. But secondly, yes, there are multiple allegations against the PFI throughout the state, and a lot of people, including the CLP leader in Karnataka, Shri Siddaramaiah, in 2020 had asked for a complete ban on PFI if there are if there are requisite allegations made against them. So I welcome the strategy of the Home Ministry and the NIA in conducting these raids and making these arrests, but also I bear in mind, is this selective targeting? There are radicals on either side, and it shouldn't be pertaining to one religion or to an organization. If there is ample amount of evidence against the PFI, we welcome the Union Ministry's actions in taking action against them. But there shouldn't be selective targeting is my only response.
Binay Singh, please respond, because this was an argument put forth in the previous show as well, that there is an equivalence, or at least a false equivalence being sought to be drawn. You are going after people, extremists of one religion, but a Yati Narsingh Anand is still roaming scot-free. No one's going after him. Why? Isn't that selective targeting?
Jaka, let me make it clear. This is not a matter of Hindu versus Muslim or targeting a religion. Because PFI is an organization, it doesn't represent the Muslim of this country. It is a fringe group, radicalizing or targeting people. And again, Jaka, PFI is a terror outfit and it is not normal. It has a next generation modus operandi. It works on a 3D and 3T format. The 3D format is democracy demolition design, which is done through talent training and target. And it is a 100% Swadeshi format of terror having international links. This is a new kind of modus operandi, Jaka, and I am sure that it was a long pending demand to ban PFI, and the action on the raids, the massive raids on PFI, they are backed by
Okay, I've lost that audio with Binay. But let me ask Atikur Rahman Saab, You know, this is the moot point. Again, I'm not understanding why moderate Indian Muslims like yourself should want to defend an extremist organization like the PFI.
Zakka, no moderate Muslim will be either supporting the PFI or the likes of the PFI, because if zero tolerance is the policy and nation first is the policy, can't you see the contradiction? Just now, an honorable panelist mentioned 10 years before the charges were there. 10 years and zero tolerance and nation first. Look at the contradiction. We want people to realize that if zero tolerance is the policy of the government of India, 10 years time they will be taking against any organization which is radicalizing its people without any religion.
Okay.
No,
Karnal Singh, I'll give Karnal Singh the final word. I think that there is a valid point there. Many have been asking for a ban on the PFI. I know it's not entirely the job of the agencies. Ultimately, it's the call that the government has to take. Why has the PFI not been banned, and do you believe today's actions are laying the groundwork for a nationwide ban of the PFI?
See, banning any organization under Prevention of Unlawful Activities Act also requires that it would be scrutinized by the advisory board, and therefore enough evidences are to be there against the organization. It is not only the cases of murder, cases of extortion. They are sufficient under Prevention of Unlawful Activities Act. The evidences of terror financing, evidences of radicalizations are required, and now the NIA and the Enforcement Directorate and local police, they have gathered evidences. And with those evidences, they would certainly be moving the Home Ministry for getting the ban on against the PFI.
Okay, so a case needs to be made for banning an organization, and more importantly, these cases that will come up in the court has to be decided on basis of evidence that's been collected by the NIA against these members of the PFI and their alleged activities. But we'll leave it at that. We'll see how this story plays out. That's a wrap of Brass Tacks. In a moment, Maria Shakil joining you with News Epicenter.
Hello everyone, you're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. Breaking news coming on the top of the show.